Yo,
Welcome. It's Monday Night Showdown. It's a weekly talk where we go over, the Monday Night Wars between Raw and WCW in the 90s.
first episode, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Before we get started, I guess we'll just talk about how iconic the 90s were for wrestling. Some of the best wrestlers, at least in my childhood, were in the 90s, and that have gone into the Hall of Fame probably in the last 10 years have been strictly from the 90s. I guess we'll start with you, Nick. What did the 90s do for you wrestling wise? What kind of childhood memories, I guess, do you have from the 90s?
So being a little bit older than you guys, I remember the late '80s wrestlers too, when you had more of the cartoonish characters. And the early '90s, it's like this weird period where they're trying to transition out of having like these cartoonish characters and be kind of more reality based and a little bit more edgy. And
Yeah.
that's where you get the start of the Monday Night Wars. I mean, because you had guys like Doink the Clown, the Gobbledygooker. I mean, the Undertaker was successful, but I mean, these characters, and they were trying to transition out of that and provide something different than that, and they were trying to find themselves. So it was kind of like a weird time.
Right. What about you, Mike? What do you think about 90s wrestling when it comes to mind?
I think it was the period where people were pushing to the limit on stuff. It was the first time that there was a serious competitor going against WWF at the time, and WCW was doing everything they could to stay ahead of WWF. I mean, they were putting match results of what happened on Raw because Raw wasn't being taped, or Raw was being wasn't being they weren't live for the longest time. They were being taped. So basically, people had a head start on what was going on Raw, and then uh, you know, it was like a sink or swim moment for Vince McMahon because like Nick was saying, you had all these like cartoon characters that everybody was just kind of over. Like everybody was the fucking everybody's character was like, oh, they have it's a day job gimmick. Like, oh, there's the Undertaker, there's fucking Big Boss Man, the security guard. There's Doink the Clown, who's a clown. Like
The dumpster.
yeah, like it just
Josie,
yeah, it's just everybody had like a gimmick, and like there was no just original wrestlers. And I think the '90s brought out more of the original wrestlers, and more of those like hardcore, edgier gimmicks. I guess they were gimmicks, but they were more original that people were excited for. Like I couldn't. Anytime you watch any, once we get into Raw, towards the 97, 98, you'll see how big Stone Cold becomes because it's just anytime that dude comes out, he just has a huge pop and everybody just goes insane because he's coming out. So we have a while to get there, but yeah, I'm interested to see the beginning of the Monday Night Wars all the way to the end.
Yeah. Speaking of Stone Cold, man, I remember watching a video not that long ago, and it was like one of the first times he had came out actually with Glass Shatter music, and he comes out, and it's so interesting to watch because when he came out, there was no crowd reaction, and it was so bizarre to see that happen because you just didn't see that happen like from memory wise, like you just said, every time he came out, dude had such like a pop and such like a following that you know you lost your shit when you heard that music.
Yeah, sure.
Wrestling though for the '90s, obviously, eventually when it got to the best part was about the Attitude Era. And the Attitude Era for a lot of wrestling fans that may not be wrestling fans or still are. Um, in the recent memory, that was the golden age, and probably in the last 20 years of wrestling. Now it's in a completely different nutshell, and you know the storylines and kind of just whole WWE's like mantra is completely different. But I remember '90s wrestling really fondly is being a kid, waiting till Raw came on at what was it 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah, it came on at 9 o'clock at night, and I remember begging my mom to stay up to watch it, so that I could stay current with what was going on. And like if you didn't, the next day you went to school and you had to hear it from your friends, and you didn't want to do that. Same thing with the pay-per-views. it was already bad enough, like I said, asking my mom to stay up at 9 o'clock on a school day
Right.
on Monday night to watch it. But then on Sunday, stay up even later because the pay-per-views were
Yeah, they were easily 2 hours long. 3
Yeah.
hours,
Yeah.
actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
and usually they weren't ending until almost after midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And but again, if you didn't see those, you had to go and hear them from everybody else, and you just weren't the cool kid.
Right, and the next day, like, they didn't even show the highlights. Like, you got still images, which,
Yeah,
I mean, they were better than nothing, but, like, there was multiple times where we didn't get pay-per-views because, we got the previous month and the month before that, and, I mean, in the 90s, I mean, I feel like $60 was a lot
yeah,
in the 90s to, like,
Yeah.
buy pay-per-view, so, like, as much as I'd like to say we got most of them, there was definitely a few that, like, we didn't get, but, I mean, usually, like, for sure, we'd always get, like, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, Survivor Series was huge back then, too.
Yeah,
Like,
the 4 big ones.
yeah. So, I mean, other than that, like, as we go through the Monday Night Wars and we watch some of the pay-per-views, I can honestly tell you that I didn't watch some of these as a kid. And watching them as an adult, I'm like, so.
Some of them I watched as a kid, and now I have to watch them again and relive that same.
Yeah.
Get ready for fall.
But a lot of times, you guys got the pay-per-views. Yeah, Fall
Yeah.
Brawl's trash. But I went to friends' house because I could never get the pay-per-views, and we would chip in and have, pizza parties and things like that. So then I had the other aspect of having to ask to stay out that late and get picked up from a friend's house or have their parents drive me home. Or, because you couldn't really stay the night on a Sunday, like a school night,
yeah,
and try to watch those pay-per-views. So it was a little bit challenging to always see them. But you're right, you don't want to miss that pay-per-view or that Monday Night Raw or Nitro, because the next day you go to school, then
yeah.
you're sitting by yourself at lunch.
Yeah, and I mean the '90s wrestling is just so iconic. A lot of people look back to it as like the last time wrestling was good and popping. And a lot of that, of course, was out of competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, I guess that's why we decided to do Monday Night Showdown. The Monday Night Wars were probably one of the best times in recent memory to actually discuss. And weekly you had 2 shows finally going head to head. So this week we'll kick off. It's just Nitro this week. Raw was not airing this week, and
I think they were just coming off a pay-per-view, so
yeah,
that's why they didn't air. But next episode, it'll be the first time that Raw and Nitro are going against each other.
Were they taped or they just didn't air a show? They took a day off.
I think they just took a day off. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Because it's funny, because nowadays, if you ever catch a Raw, I haven't watched Raw in years, but the last time I really did, they always tout that it's the longest episodic consecutively running show.
Right.
They took a day off.
Right.
And
So I think what happened is that they did a Saturday night main event that week, and it was like, I don't know. I don't
they
know.
use that as their kind of live show.
I think. Well, I think they use that as like their. I don't know. That was what Raw was that week. I mean, I don't really know for sure, but like I feel like it was a Saturday night main event or something like that where they had to do. Maybe it was because there was playoffs or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know how USA's
I'm
programming
gonna have
works.
to look it up. I'm
I
just
mean,
curious.
they were on USA still, right?
WWF or WWE now likes their fake records, and they're still on USA. They always say that they're the longest running consecutive
yeah.
show. But if they took a week off, they
Anyways.
always make up all these facts. Yeah, not important.
Anyway,
Move
so
on.
this week it's Nitro. We're kicking off. We'll start off the show right now with the intro from Nitro. Let's take a look.
From the land of 10,000 lakes, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
I've never been to the Mall of America, but God, it's fucking huge.
I've never been there either.
Neither have I, but imagine your first show is at a mall, the biggest mall, right? If you look in the background.
Shout out to Sears.
Yeah, I was
just
just saying, you see Sears in the background, like this shit is crazy, right?
Craftsman Tools, shout out.
Right, and as this plays, like look at this crowd. It's actually pretty sold out.
I didn't realize that the ring and the mat around it and the infrastructure, everything was fucking blue.
Well, yeah.
It just blends in. There's no nothing that stands out.
What's
about
crazy
that
about
ring.
this though, right, is First off, just going to the mall as a kid is always like super exciting. You always want your mom to take you there because usually, I mean, especially back then, there was department stores and all the toy stores were definitely in the malls and shit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But imagine like you going to the mall and not realizing that as a kid that WCW was there, and you just show up,
Yeah.
or you just happen to be at the Mall of America that week in Minnesota, and you just you stroll in, and there's fucking Hulk Hogan, like getting ready to fucking wrestle, and you're just like, what? Like,
I feel like a lot of kids probably thought this was WWF too at the time because I don't think that WCW was hitting a lot of people's radar. So you show up and you think you're going to see, you got Hulk Hogan, but you think you're going to see all those WWF guys. And then there's some other wrestling that you don't know what it is, and you're in the mall.
But
you have no idea what's going on.
At least they probably were able to get people like, oh, Hulk Hogan's going to be
Yeah,
there.
you
Like,
can have that walk-up crowd.
That's probably the number one thing they banked on. I mean, WCW was, it wasn't huge at this time, but they were still around for a little bit.
Yeah, what's interesting too is it makes me actually wonder if they actually even charged admission for this show.
I doubt it.
Because
they just walk up.
Right. The fact that it's in a mall, and if you look in the upper deck, you just see people standing around.
Yeah, there's no seats, and you can't. There's nothing that's preventing them to really stop. I mean, the ring is framed out. It looks like, but if you're looking upstairs, like you said, you can just come up there and stand. People are on the escalator.
The mall probably worked out some type of deal where they got like a flat rate fee of like, hey, we'll pay you this much to come here.
Right.
Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, Nitro opens up. We get greeted by Bischoff here. They introduce who's going to be the new co-host, which is Mongo.
Absolutely hate Mongo.
Yeah, I can't believe they actually let him wrestle too, as you'll see further.
I shouldn't say hate him. He's annoying. But.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting too that they got a guy who is not even a wrestler to be a commentator,
Yeah, he wasn't a wrestler. He played football.
Right? Yeah.
He played for the Bears.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they went with that guy. I mean, a lot of Nitro's early decisions were really kind of scatterbrained.
The guy in a white shirt in the background is really super excited for this show.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Fun fact that Mongo was actually married to Deborah for a long time, and that's why her name was Deborah McMichael.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
Stone Cold stole her.
Also, I'd like to make
Yeah.
I'd like to make a quick note.
Here we go.
If you look, Bischoff makes this stupid smile and like almost.
Yeah, he's got this
lot.
shit-eating grin on
This
his
really
face.
bad
There's
smile.
a lot of clips where he just makes this weirdo face.
Yeah, and it's god awful. Anyways,
This is a championship place.
Mongo's
to
just
showcase
explaining that we're in a championship
athletes.
place, obviously, because it's WCW.
World Championship Wrestling.
Here comes Bobby the Brain.
AKA Bobby the Sting.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate Mongo, Mr. Heenan.
All right, so that's how the show opens. We got McMichael talking to Bobby the Brain, pulling fucking stupid gimmicks like a hand buzzer on his hand, and I wish I would, this was the only kind of shit they would pull, but
I feel like somebody I don't know if it was Eric Bischoff was just like, hey,
I don't know how they sit in a room and they go,
this is such good shit.
Well, no, but they were probably like, hey, man, you're not funny enough. You need to be more funnier. And then he's like, I got it. I got a hand buzzer at home. I'll bring it in and shock.
Yeah, it's like the
shock
60s
fucking
Joker
Bobby
from
the
the
Brain.
Batman series. Like that kind of cringe-worthy fucking gimmick.
jeez, fucking earthquake.
Yeah.
Earthquakes on the card tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting decision, but yeah, we'll let this play out here.
I know you've been looking forward to this opportunity. I mean, you got some words for this. I was a big fan.
So this is how I remember McMichael, honestly, is really weird. And then, of course, he's got Pepe with him. And in every episode, Pepe's dressed in a different costume.
Pepe was the best character. I could really care less for McMichael. I wish Pepe was just the
Pepe the whole time.
announcer.
Yeah, well, fucking Pepe's crazy looking. So here's the first match. It's Pillman versus JTL. Watching this match all the way through before we dive into it was pretty weak. As your first match to open up with on, primetime, cable and have the world get its first glimpse at you. This was the first match and it was not good. There was a lot of sloppy spots. A lot of confusion too between
just the both of them.
Yeah,
There's a lot
I
of
mean,
confusion.
there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of spots where it's like they just forgot that that's what they were gonna do, which is crazy because it's usually a lot of high flying spots where if you're not paying attention, you're gonna get fucking break your neck.
Yeah.
I like to think they did botch quite a lot in this match.
Yeah.
It wasn't that good, but they were. I feel like no one else was doing this style of wrestling really.
Sure.
So that's why you have a lot of botches. So I give them a little bit of that, but then there's just some like the finish. It's just terrible. Like overall.
Yeah.
They had this terrible finish to this match. I appreciate what they're trying to do, but.
Yeah, and I mean this was right. You know, it's Brian Pillman and Juice and Thunder Liger, and I feel like Pillman just came off of being tag teams with Stone Cold, right? Because they were the Hollywood Blondes. Right?
I think.
That sounds right.
Right? It was Stone Cold?
I think so.
I think so, right?
I can fact check it.
I don't know.
When we go to break.
Anyway, so he's doing singles action now, and then you have Juice and Thunder, who is a well-known luchador.
Yep.
Yeah, Hollywood Blondes.
Yeah. Good call.
Which by the way, their theme song was I don't know what it was about it, but I just liked it. Like it was
Blondes have more fun.
Yeah, blondes have more fun. Yeah. It was just blondes have more fun. Got you pumped up. That's when Steve Austin had hair too. So, so yeah, we'll let's take a look at this match, and obviously we'll show you what we're talking about here.
Yeah. So this is the first spot they open up with is this
Great surprises
really
and a whole lot of fun. WCW where the big boys play.
Fucking didn't catch.
So I think Pillman was just too far away on that because it looks like if you rewind it that.
Well, usually they're too far away, or JTL didn't jump
as
far as he's supposed to. Yeah, he was a little bit far.
He was a little bit far away, but I don't know.
Well, that I think.
But he jumped too early.
No. I think what it is if you look, JTL's extended way too far back. Like he needs to be more tight with his backflip because by the time he flips, his head is almost in Pillman's chest.
Yeah.
And if he would have tucked tighter and when it wasn't leaning too far back, then he wouldn't have almost hit his head on the mat first.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not a good way to open the match.
No,
and everybody caught him and protected him. Yeah, but that was just
Yeah, I want to say that's
miscue.
I want to say that's Liger's fault.
Kind of set the table for the rest of the show.
If you scroll back, if you see how far he's he's jumping right there, like it's not jumping
up,
he's jumping out.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Anyways.
Boys playing, look at that move. Even Bobby the Stain over there has to be impressed with those kind of
It's great commentating from Mongo. This is all you get the entire time.
moves.
Here comes another really bad spot from Pillman.
So I think it was his fault. I think that was
again,
JTL not going over with the scissors.
He went for a head scissor takeover here, and he's jumping from the second rope, not the top rope. And when he goes, JTL doesn't fall right. He kind of falls awkwardly.
Get him in the fucking walls of Jericho.
Yeah, I mean he rolls the other way that he's supposed to roll, and I mean I don't know if it's just a miscommunication with them because fucking this is very current throughout the whole match. Like it's just constant like this, and I mean I give it to Pillman for not just like fucking punching this dude in the face, but
stiffen him.
Again, this is not the best way to start off Nitro.
Yeah. So after this comes the best spot of the match, which is a really nice surfboard by JTL to Pillman.
Yeah, that's good. I mean,
this was the best spot of the entire. And then comes this great line. So in the entire broadcast of Nitro's and WCW's ongoing tagline is "This is where the big boys play," and you hear it multiple times throughout. In fact, I'm pretty sure in this clip, there's a guy in the background holding a sign that says "Where the big boys play in WCW." I'm pretty sure they paid that guy to sit front row with his handmade cardboard sign. But he looks stoked, so maybe not. I don't fucking know. But anyways, and then this next clip, Bischoff deviates away from that and comes up with a new slogan.
This is where the best live.
So apparently,
They're just trying to throw out their slogans, their one-liners, and see what catches. So big boys play, best live.
Here comes.
This is America. We're the best to live.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the tagline should be, not WCW. And then here comes the weirdest thing of the match is Pillman is just staring at the ref in this spot because he doesn't want to fuck up and not kick out, which I don't know how you make this
he's
look
just-
any less obvious.
And the camera is right on him.
Yeah,
I don't know
so
why they cut to this camera. I mean, they should
yeah,
cut to hard cam or something. But yeah, I mean, it's literally he's
I don't even
he's
know.
locked eyes with.
Where was
fucking-
hard cam at on this?
I don't know. But
you don't see it that much.
yeah, and I mean, this is again more of a testament of how the first Nitro went. It was just like a lot of goofy ass shit that is fundamental mistakes that they just messed up in general. So here comes the end of the match.
Standing switch. He got him. He's got him.
Sloppy standing switch.
Yeah. So that's how the match ends. We got a standing switch, and then Pillman, runs around the ring.
Yeah, the worst part about that is I don't know if we have it, but the worst part is like they show a replay of it, like him actually doing the full move. I don't know why they just wouldn't like cut to him like already in the pin, because
Yeah.
I mean it's I don't know, man.
The worst part about it is this is the first match on your now
Yeah.
flagship show,
Right.
and the finish
Right.
was a standing switch.
Which, to be honest, as the show goes on, this is the only match that actually ends with a pinfall.
Right.
The other two matches end with, in typical Nitro fashion,
Yeah, DQs.
which are DQs or interference or something happens.
Yeah.
Um,
I think Hulk Hogan gets the pin, and then
oh, no, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, he does.
There's just so much shit happening at that point, which we
Yeah.
get to, that it's so convoluted they forget to get the pin.
Yeah. So,
Roman looking fucking insane.
yeah.
yeah,
Well, this match overall was not great. It was like, we've already covered it. It was shitty on Nitro with their opening spot.
And these guys are such good wrestlers prior to this, so you put them on at the number one spot to blow the roof off.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just probably nerves and shit, but still.
probably. Yeah, I think they could have opened with a stronger set. So,
would you give this match?
out of 5, it's probably like a 2,
Yeah,
to be honest.
Sure.
I mean, high flying spots are cool. There was more in this, but we can only show.
Era came in,
We can only show
we'll
so
definitely
much,
see that.
of course, but overall, this match was just really weak to open with, and I get it; they're not considered top talent probably at this moment, but like we discussed, that like opening with a match like this where it's not like, I mean, I guess I get why they did it, because high flying shit gets crowd pumped because they're like, oh, they're going off the top and this and that,
Right.
so that
Nobody
makes
really did it at this point in time.
right. So it makes sense, but I think like technically and like how it looked wise, it was just really sloppy, and these guys could have done a lot better, better spots, and or just better communication throughout.
for sure.
So yeah, it's probably 2 out of 5. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll
Yeah.
say that's solid. Like I said, it's your first match. You wanna just like any pay per view or any show, when you're number one on the card,
Yeah,
you wanna fucking set it off and
Yeah.
set the tone for the guys in the back. And I think they tried to go out there and do that. I think they just maybe got nervous or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. But they're, like I said, I mean, I remember watching them when I was younger, and these guys were both really good in their own right.
yeah. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this is 2 out of 5. This is probably the worst match of the night. I mean, there's only 3 matches,
Yeah.
but this is probably the worst out of the 3.
All right, for sure. All right, so the next segment we're gonna do, we'll do this every week. It'll be the best wrestling signs from these shows, and I don't know about you guys, but wrestling signs I feel like are just they're
great.
they're a work of art.
Great.
They're key. Like they don't
Yeah.
exist too much anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was I mean, easily the best part about
The
the
shows.
90s.
Yeah,
the
seeing
shit,
all
the
the signs. Like people just didn't care. They would put whatever they wanted on these signs,
And
and
somehow they made it to air. Like,
Yeah.
watching
Yeah.
some of the later
And
Raws,
yeah,
especially. And,
yeah.
oh my god.
a lot of them are on hard cam too. Like it's
Yeah.
just like they
Yeah.
didn't care. Like they're just
Yeah.
like, well, we
Um,
got to keep it there.
Well, yeah, and too, like whenever we used to see Raw and Nitro, not now because this episode starts from a top down instead of a wide angle
Right.
of the arena. You just would see a sea of signs, and the signs are what they would cut to those once in a while. and you get a good laugh or whatever. So
Yeah, I mean, I remember, when when we went to Raw when we were younger, we made signs, and
Yeah.
they weren't as like goofy as like
Nah.
people put, but like if you went to a wrestling event, you always made a sign in the
Yeah.
90s. Like you made one and you brought it in, and they never cared what.
not only
what it
did you
said.
make a sign, but you made it on whatever you found, whether that was cardboard or poster board
Yeah.
or
I remember sometimes they provided you poster board.
Yeah. Later on, I
the
think they
signs,
did.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
they were like, we want people to make signs, so they had like, I remember there was like stations, like
yeah.
tables and shit. Before you go down, you could make your sign, and like everyone was there with all the markers and stuff, and they had all these poster boards, and
Yeah.
people were writing just super reckless shit on their signs, and they
Yeah.
would get on
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah. So the first sign was where the big boys play. We saw that earlier.
Yeah.
This was in the JTL match, and some of these will
He's
be
got
in
a bunch of
matches we
writing,
won't
like
see.
they signed their names or something. On
Yeah,
it.
that's why it's kind of. I mean, this is
That
kind of
guy was
cool.
the guy behind
Yeah.
Bischoff, if you notice, and Mongo like losing his shit, like
Yeah, I think
when
so.
they first aired it. So I think either he's with WCW or like, I mean, to be
Well,
that jazzed up about it when
I
they
mean,
were just doing Saturday night
right.
shows at the time.
Well, to be fair, I think the guy was either a plant or they're like, hey, like, if you're sitting here, like, do you mind holding the sign up?
Yeah.
Maybe they gave it to him already signed by a bunch of people, and they're like, yeah, hold on to this. I could see them being like, hey, we don't have any signs. We have cardboard. Like, let's put where the big boys play, have
Yeah,
it
it looks
signed,
like
and
something
then
you
give it
get
to the
off
fan
a
to hold it
scale,
up.
like a
Yeah,
pallet.
and the
Yeah,
reason
it's a
why I
pallet.
think it's a plant or they gave it to him is because I don't know how often they were using this catchphrase until now.
Right.
So
I don't think they mentioned it on Saturday nights. I was still really little. I would watch Saturday nights, but I don't really remember too much. And I don't think they were using that catchphrase yet, like I said.
So next sign is it's kind of hard to see, but it says Bobby the Brain for president.
Yeah, again, it's made out of cardboard. I said, I feel
That's
like
the same guy.
Yeah, it kind of looks like
It is the same guy. It's just the other side of his sign.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's the same fucking guy. The
was
only
gonna
guy with a
say,
sign. There is nobody else with
No,
a
you're
sign.
right. You're right. I didn't even realize that until now. That's
Yeah.
fucking,
Yeah, white T-shirt, same fucking
Yeah.
cardboard.
All right, next one. These are some of the best ones. Steen
With the
rolls.
backwards N.
Yeah.
Nothing says 90s more than backwards letters.
Yeah. Steen rules. One word says it all. Flair, and then I wish Flair was my dad. Yeah, I wish Flair was my dad. Is probably the best sign at this show, honestly.
Yeah.
And then we got this one, Flying Brian Rocks. That took a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
Like Steelers colors.
Yeah, I know. I think it's orange and black. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It's so hard to see with this. Fucking,
Yeah.
I feel like you don't see the
quality.
edgier signs
No.
until later.
Later, yeah.
Oh
So
my god, yeah, there's gonna be some good ones.
this is a great WCW sign.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
And then the classic one, which I was shocked that I saw this, but I'm glad I saw it, was the classic Woo for Flair, and then
With the H in it.
yeah.
And the money.
I know. When I saw it, I was like, who? And then I was like, no,
It's supposed to be Woo.
it's supposed to be Woo, but you can do it anyway.
Yeah.
And then
That's a good Nitro
Yeah.
sign.
yeah, it is. I just don't know what's on the other side. I don't know if we'd ever see it because of the way the camera's
it's hard to-
facing.
yeah.
Gotcha.
But
That's
and then the last one is a sign that I just pulled that I thought was funny and I found, and I'll do this every week as a mystery, which was this one.
Diamond Cutter Circle's best friend.
Yeah.
Alright.
Alright.
Which is weird because DDP wasn't even on this. I think he's on next week's.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
I think they were just starting him out, and he wasn't.
He's not DDP yet. This is just a sign I pulled. It's not from. It's
just a random
Yeah, it's
wrestling
just a
sign.
random
Oh,
sign.
it said it's in
Gotcha.
it's like
Yeah.
random
Gotcha.
wrestling sign.
yeah.
Yeah, he was Dallas something. Like wasn't he like somebody's not bodyguard, but something like that.
Well, I think he's Fabulous Diamond or something like that. He's got some weird
He
ass
came out in a
name.
fucking shiny ass
Yeah.
attire.
Yeah, you gotta look that up.
He could have just been instead of
I should've
DDP,
typed in
Diamond
DDP.
Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that he was.
That's not his name. Just delivery duty paid.
Yeah, I don't know why.
You should just type in DDP first gimmick, or just Wikipedia.
Yeah, I think.
Wait, go up. It's down.
I'm looking, man.
No, you're scrolling.
You are
right
scrolling way
past
too.
it.
Yeah, you're scrolling
God
too
damn
fast. Go down.
Slowly. Yeah, it was just full Diamond Dallas page then, before they abbreviated it to DDP.
Gotcha. Yeah, for some reason I thought he was named something else
I
when he
thought
first came
was
to
too.
WCW.
We're just past it. Dusty Rhodes. I know Dusty Rhodes originally brought him in.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was just. He had the Diamond Dolls, and it was
Something
the
like
Diamond Dolls
that,
with the
yeah.
Diamond Dolls. Yeah.
yeah. We'll probably find out next week for
Yeah.
sure. I know that it's
Remember
something
the shiny
different.
purple fucking attire that he wore with the vest and everything?
Yeah,
Can't forget the classic dangly earring he had
Yeah, he
too.
came out with a cigar.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wasn't he with fucking Kevin Nash right away?
No,
He was
Vincent Vega?
he's with some girl
Vinny
right
Vegas.
away.
No, he was with Max Muscle.
Was it Max Muscle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who
Yeah.
he's with.
He's
Yeah.
with Max
I thought he was
Muscle.
with Vinny Vegas. With the
No,
snake
no.
eyes.
No.
Yeah, but yeah, he's with Max Muscle. That's who it is, and Kimray as the Diamond Doll.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who it is, for sure. All right, cool. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. And we're back from commercial break. All right, so we're coming back in. We left off with the signs. We're going to go into like one of the most iconic promos, especially for Hulk Hogan. I'm not even going to say a word. I'm just going to play it, and it'll do the work for itself.
Right.
The mania running through my brain. Who's good, brother? Because the Hulkster's slim and trim. I've been eating my pasta mania. And what you gonna do in the Mall of America, brother, when Hulk Hogan, pasta mania, and all my pasta maniacs run wild on you? What you gonna do? All right.
Nobody's excited for Pasta Mania.
No.
All the kids are super confused.
Yeah,
The
Bischoff's
fuck
got
is
this
dog
stupid ass
shit.
look again on his face.
The best
like,
part is like when me and Darth first watched this, we thought that kid in the background was a
Yeah.
worker because he has a headband on, but he's just a kid sitting on the fucking table back
He's
there.
like
Yeah.
a chef
But
or
he looks,
something.
he looks
he
taller
looks
than
like a fucking-
everybody.
yeah, it's probably because he's staying on the counter.
Yeah.
But anyway, so for people that don't know, Hulk Hogan dived into a bunch of promotional name branding, like marketing products that weren't really that great.
Pretty much he signed his name on anything.
Yeah, he was just trying to make money. And Pasta Mania was one of them. So outside of the Mall America, there was a couple other locations where he was basically putting his name to basically like Chef Boyardee quality, Italian food.
Which I feel like in the 90s, like, you had a lot of athletes, trying to get, like, I don't know, restaurants and shit like that. Like, Michael Jordan had a steakhouse. And,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people just did that at the time if you were an athlete, because people were like, oh, I want to own a restaurant, or, yeah, I got to own a bar. And then they, like, had no idea how to run it, and then it just ended up closing.
Yeah, well, especially, like, if you don't know how to run it and then the food quality's just shit. Like, if you look here, this is the menu. First off, before we even look at the food, let's look at this sweet-ass drawing they did of Hulk Hogan.
His arms are even
His
the
arms,
same.
his arms are fucking huge, but his face doesn't look anything like him.
Doesn't match his body.
No, that and this is like this. It just looks like they threw this shit together really quick because it's this is only 2 colors, which means they didn't spend a lot of time on it, and they just drew it up. And you got, if you look at the menu here, you got classic. Classic food like angel hair, fettuccine, marinara. I just don't see nuggets, nuggets under pasta. I don't see just regular spaghetti here, which is weird. But I do
that
see
would be the fucking angel hair or something.
I guess. But I do see ringside dishes and added attractions here. It didn't last that long. Well, if we look here, this is what a Pasta Mania looks like now.
Oh my god!
I can't tell if we're in Detroit or where we're at here. Yeah, Cleveland. This is what it looks like now. It's just basically a graveyard or a dumpster of trash. And outside of that, like I said, Hogan did a shit ton of promotional stuff. Here we've got the Thunder Mixer, which looks like a fucking hourglass.
He had a Foreman grill.
Yeah.
Like the Hogan grill. It was like the same thing as the George Foreman grill is, but
yeah. And then
red or some shit.
Right. And then you also got the Hulkster cheeseburgers, which
no, I think he was going to do He was going to do like a Foreman grill, but he decided to do the Thunder Mixer instead, and then the company went with George Foreman, and that sold a lot better than the Thunder Mixer.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay.
They're still sold today. But yeah, he did cheeseburgers. He did the Thunder Mixer. He also did, I think, chicken sandwiches. He just did a whole lot of shit, dude. And by shit, I mean shit.
Yeah.
So anyways, that was
surf shop.
Yeah, so we get that great promo in the Mall America. There's a Pasta Mania there, so of course, naturally, they're like, "We're gonna shoot a promo here. We'll have all these kids jumping around. There's no workers around."
I mean, to be honest, like that's probably why they shot at the Mall of America, so that they could fucking blow the shit out of that.
I guess, yeah, probably. So next match we're getting into real quick is gonna be Flair versus Sting. We'll start it off here.
Well, you're gonna need earmuffs and sunglasses when this match is over.
What belt is Sting holding?
I think it's the U.S. World Title.
Is it the U.S. or is it TV title?
No, I think it's U.S. And here comes Luger. So this is like mind-blowing because, as Luger has said before, his contract was basically up, right?
Yeah.
And Bischoff secretly stole him from, WWF at the time and was like, hey, I want you to come wrestle for WCW, but if you're going to do it, you need to do it next Monday on our promo show.
Or premiere show.
Yeah, premiere show. And WWF didn't know it. Basically, if I remember hearing right, is Vince told him, like, hey, we'll work your contract out, but don't go anywhere else, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Right, and the crazy thing is that last week on Raw, Luger was on that,
right?
And then the following week he was on Nitro. So people were like, "What the fuck?" And this was before like internet and like So if you
didn't know till you tuned in,
it was mind blowing because you're like, this guy was just on Raw.
Yeah, I mean, it would be almost as crazy if WCW was still around today, or even 5 years ago, and it was like John Cena is no longer on Raw, he's now on fucking WCW, and you didn't know that, and it just happened. You would, like you said, this was before the internet ruins everything now.
Right.
And just as a kid, like, to me, if I was watching and I saw that, I'd probably lose my fucking mind because I'd go, yo, this dude was just on Raw last week and now he's on WCW.
Yeah.
So anyways, he comes out because this is how they're going to introduce him, which is kind of weird. He comes out and he's, dressed in this great, just white button-up fucking dress shirt, As I remember, Sting and Flair don't even notice him. They just keep the camera on him for, a good, 30, 40 seconds.
Yeah,
Obviously,
they're wrestling. I think the match is going on, right?
Yeah, I mean, the bell just rang.
The bell just rang, so it's about to start. But let's talk about...
Shout out to the Great Train Store in the
Yeah,
background.
great train store in the background. But let's also talk about, again, what Luger's wearing. I guess this is what's considered street attire in the 90s is, Roman...
Looks like the fucking prince from Beauty and the Beast once he turned back from the Beast.
What he looks like is a Shakespearean novelist. And to even put that more in effect, this is what this is how I imagine him. That's what he just looks like. He looks like he's about to... drop some fucking slam poetry from Shakespeare about how he's happy he's in WCW now.
Mother, no, you wear her drapes.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we'll get this match started. So Flair and Sting are two of WCW's biggest names at this point.
Yeah, with Hogan, they're probably
they're in the top
they're
five.
in the top five best wrestlers,
if not top three,
that WCW has right now because they basically. I don't want to say poached, but they took all of...
Poached?
Yeah, I feel like at this period in time, Vince was dropping all the older guys that he used during the 80s, and WCW just picked them up. Which,
why not?
I mean, I don't think they were... it would have made sense if Vince was going to go into the Attitude Era now, but he didn't.
Right.
The Attitude Era doesn't happen for another 3 years or so. So it was just like... I don't think it was that smart of a move to do it.
I don't either.
And then WCW got ahead of the game by basically being like, yeah, we're going to create this edgier product that, Vince isn't even close to getting to, which is, in my own opinion, that's why WCW rose to what it did, because they were just doing shit. WWF at the time was still in the past.
Yeah.
And they got rid of all their gimmicks. And I think there was an article that was published, I don't know when, but it was basically the worst years of wrestling were 95 and 96 because it was just WCW and WWF didn't know what to do. You had all these old guys in WCW, and then WWF you had
a lot of unknown
the
people.
Brooklyn Brawler,
Shawn Michaels,
Yeah.
Scott Hall,
right? But I think
Kevin Nash.
Back to what Mike was saying though, why WCW was also able to be successful is these guys were sort of, at least in Vince's eyes, past their prime almost, but really
they were already established names.
They're established names, and they still got crowd reactions. Like Sting, Flair, Macho Man, those guys were still popular.
Yeah, they were. And it wasn't necessarily where Vince didn't want them either. There was a bit of Ted Turner had more money to give them and give them guarantees.
Right.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these guys were hearing that from various documentaries and shit I've watched that they could get guaranteed money over there more than Vince was offering.
Right.
Either he wasn't offering or he couldn't, and so he was losing these
guys. But I think also part of the reason why he wasn't offering it is because in his eyes, he didn't view them as the top guys anymore.
Right.
He was trying to find newer, younger talent like Shawn Michaels and, But anyway, so the match kicks off, and as it kicks off, the most memorable thing from this match is just a shit ton of presses, whether it's from the top rope, whether it's off the fucking ropes. You'll see here. I think I remember counting 5 or 6 here.
1.
Yeah.
Oh.
2.
Yeah. I mean,
3.
Stain's just showing off his power.
Yeah. 4.
There's 1
5.
more. Outside of that, though, this match was probably the best match of the night.
These guys are solid performers. I mean, you're always going to get a good match out of both of them.
And compared to the previous match with JTL and Pillman, they made it look night and day. They get good crowd reactions. Sting really hypes up the crowd with the Stinger call. Flair plays the perfect heel in this match. Something we didn't mention the last match, there was no heel in that match, right?
Yeah,
it was just two faces. But in typical Nitro fashion, they ruined this match by having an interference, and I feel like they shouldn't have let that happen. But I get why they did it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like just trying to cram everything in.
Yeah.
So
I feel like
fast and
Sting
efficiency.
is like the best face they have right now. Like I think he almost gets a bigger pop than Hogan does. Like a lot of the kids like him because he has the face paint and stuff like that. I mean, we'll see it later in the Hogan match, but there's times where you're expecting the crowd to get super hype and they don't. So you're just like, all right, well, it's supposed to be Hogan, and then he doesn't he's like hulking up, and everybody's just like just staring at him.
Well, I mean, also we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they're wrestling. They're putting on a good show, and here comes Arn Anderson wearing that fucking sweet-ass fucking windbreaker.
Yeah.
This classic 90s.
Cavs colors, baby.
Yeah, classic 90s vintage Nike windbreaker jacket.
Yeah.
He comes out, in typical fashion.
The enforcer.
Yeah, stone face, doesn't really say shit. The match continues. Something I want to point out, though, here is this is sped up a little bit. And of course, it's not the whole match, but Arn is out here for like a good 10, 15 minutes
Right.
before Flair and Sting actually even notice him or acknowledge him.
The commentators don't acknowledge him either, do they?
No, they do. But I just thought it was weird that they have a guy come out and just stand ringside for 10 minutes, and then he finally decides to interfere.
Right.
It just, especially if he's not interacting with anyone, it would make sense if maybe he came to the announcer table and he's like, I'm sick of Flair because of this or whatever, but he just comes out and stands there.
Around the ring.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think there's a point, too, where, like Arn Anderson is, like, literally standing next to Sting and Flair, and none of them, like, they don't see him.
Yeah.
And, like, it's almost like they lock eyes, and he's, didn't see you. Like, whatever.
Yeah. So the match continues on. They're wrestling.
It's right here.
Yeah.
It's literally right here. Like, he's standing, like, maybe 5 feet, 10 feet away from them, like, he's there. Like, I just don't understand. Like, just notice him, I mean? Like,
and like you said, maybe they're trying to do the stalking thing, obviously, with, like, this camera angle where it's over the shoulder. But, like, we're in the Mall of America. He's not in a dark alley watching these two fight each other, right?
Yeah.
So it continues. And then here comes the best spot of the match. They kind of try to do arm locks, and then they go into this sweet bridge spot, which is just classic technical wrestling, They go into it.
Nice backslide.
Yeah.
Look, so the ref is right here, and they both turn and look right at the ref, and it's like, like, come on, like, Arn Anderson's there, but, like, as you can see in the next...
They know he's there, but they're just trying not to look at him to do it. There's, like, a cue that they're waiting for, which is stupid.
I mean, the moral of the story is I just think this was executed poorly.
If he's not going to be noticed, don't come out till you need
he
to be
needs
noticed.
to be there, right? So then Sting finally notices him. He's like, "What are you doing out here?" You know, and of course this will set up Flair to pull the dirtiest player in the game move.
Chop like that.
Yep, there it goes, right there. So he pulls off the dirtiest player in the game. Ric Flair's like, I can't see Arn, even though I'm pretty sure he looks at him and then shakes his head like, Then he goes for figure 4. And of course, Arn Anderson's like, well, it's about time I finally get in here.
So the best part about this is that the referee rings the bell and Arn Anderson doesn't even touch anybody yet. Like he's just like, "You're in the ring. What are you doing here?"
Yeah. So
the match is over.
Yeah. So if we play this out, yep, right there. So he calls for the bell. He hasn't even touched anybody.
Is he wearing a fresh pair of wands though?
Yeah, I mean it looks like it.
Like Cortez's, man.
Yeah. So Arn Anderson goes right after fucking Flair. He's just pissed. He goes, man, I'm not getting this jacket dirty. Takes his shit off. No, you don't.
You just smack the ref in the face and
and he just goes crazy. Which, if I believe at the time, the storyline that's going on between them two, right, is Ric Flair and Arn used to be boys, right? And now that
Horseman.
Yeah, and now that Ric Flair has got a girl or a wife or whatever, right? He's upset that
Right.
they're not riding the same anymore.
Right, because that's the storyline going into Fall Brawl, which basically you're not the same anymore, Rick.
Yeah.
You used to be cool.
We used to be loose with women, and now
Yeah,
you have a woman in your life.
Sluts.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
You know.
Yeah.
So the match continues. Well, the match there. This continues, and here comes Scott Norton. He comes out of nowhere. They don't really show him come out. They just cut to him at ringside.
Scott Norton looks like he just took steroids before he came out here. Like,
Yeah.
He looks fucking huge. He looks like the dad's bully from every 90 movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's fucking huge, man.
Yeah.
But it's just funny because like he
What is
just
he in his hand?
See, and this is what confuses me. I don't know why he comes out here.
Plane ticket?
I can't tell if it's like this
You
is
should have got my flight on a better airline.
I don't know what this is.
that, or maybe Scott Norton's coming out saying that WCW checks are already bouncing.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think.
I don't know.
I'm gonna get paid.
Yeah, I don't know either. So this continues, right? And fucking Mongo's like, oh well, you know,
I just realized this guy like a really jacket.
yeah, he's got like a
Native American leather jacket on.
yeah.
It's great.
They go toe to toe, right? This is great. And then behind, as you can see, is Macho's in the back corner, right? And Macho Man is, you know, perfect for promos, and he cuts some of the best promos and just says the most off the wall shit.
Yeah.
The next line he drops here is just so great. Well, listen here. And of course, before we go to, this is setting up a feud between them two, of course, right?
Obviously.
For me, brother, Flash Gordon, Flash in the WCW, wonder when you...
Yeah, so Macho Man grabs Scott Norton. He says, hey, it's me, Macho Man, a.k.a. Flash Gordon. Welcome to the WCW. I don't know about you guys, but I would love to see a Macho Man Flash Gordon movie.
I don't even know what that means.
Well, I think we're about to see what that looks like here.
How about the Macho Man Randy Savage? Is that... It's enough to get me to the boiling point.
Alright.
Yeah, so that's how I imagine a Flash Gordon movie with Macho Man. Basically, though, they want to fight, and Macho Man is just like, what are we waiting for? Let's just fight now. But of course, he delivers it in classic Macho Man style.
Macho Man, what are we waiting for? Let's do it. We're not waiting for nothing. Let's do it right now.
It's so good, dude. And I think what makes this so good is this little look away that Macho Man does. Like,
He's like, should I say it?
yeah, he's just like, he
No.
looks right at the camera and he's like, yeah, it's go time.
Right now.
No, he was looking at the fucking Great Train store.
Yeah.
Checking out those cabooses.
Anyway, so this essentially all ends. Bischoff tells us we're going to go to commercial, but before we go to commercial, we're going to get a Sabu promo. So we'll play this for you, and then we'll go into context about it after. Yeah, basically.
It's fucking too bad. It's all the effects at once.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, I think just had a fucking seizure.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically the context of this is Sabu's in WCW. We don't know that, but now we know, I
And at
guess.
this time, you probably don't know who Sabu is.
Right.
So you're like, this guy.
Right, unless you're watching ECW.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of audience ECW garnered at this point, so there's a good chance that no one
Yeah.
knew who the fuck this guy was.
So
But they're showing a promo for him.
again, something fundamentally that Nitro drops here is they don't really give us any context of who Sabu is. Like I said, Bischoff literally just goes, okay, and yeah, we're going to commercial, and here's a promo from some guy named Sabu. And we cut to this promo, which is straight out of the fucking 90s. We get this, like, rip-off fucking Nirvana kind of style music in this, like, weird-ass blur effect.
So my question is did
Who's
Sabu, is this before when he was in ECW? Because this is 95.
Yeah.
So I wonder if like he
I don't know
wins.
how big ECW was at this time. So.
No, but I'm saying like, was he even in ECW before this?
Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm gonna say probably yes. He probably started. Well, actually, I think he was in WWF
Oh, so he was in
and ECW.
So he was in ECW from
Yeah.
93, 95, and then he was in WCW for a little bit in 95. So that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So he just came out of
he just came out of ECW.
in New Japan. So maybe they.
So they were banking on you. I mean, there's such
Yeah,
a niche, small audience at this time. I think for New Japan because
Right.
we had no internet really. There's
Yeah.
cable is limited, so
Yeah.
unless you like really knew who he was, I mean, the kids watching and teenagers, people watching, like which I feel like is the majority of the audience,
Right.
don't know who the hell this guy is.
So
But
yeah.
he's flipping around and shit, and he looks cool.
Yeah, I mean, Sabu was one of my favorite wrestlers. Don't get me wrong, but at this time, I was Hi, Baba. And
All right.
you just don't know who he is, and fundamentally, they just don't set this up. They could have Bischoff could have easily said, premiering next week, which Sabu is premiering next week. We learned this by watching WCW Nitro next week that he's one of the first matches. But there's just no context here, and it leads you to go, well, who the fuck is this guy? Is he in WCW? And you just kind of have to imagine it, I guess. And I mean, I guess setting up some kind of mystery to when you cut these promos is part of it, but I don't know. I just feel like they could have executed it better.
Yeah.
All right. So after the Sabu promo, we come back into a card of what the card is for next week. And then Bischoff leads us into another promo for Mr. Wall Street. At this time, that's what he's recognized as. So let's check that out.
Few generation is nothing more than the few generation. And that is why I'm here in WCW. Because it is about power. It is about money.
Yeah, so here we cut to a clip of Wall Street as the IRS from WWF. He's basically just playing the same fucking
Yeah,
character.
it's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same gimmick, and if you rewind it a little bit and just show what basically they use this this background or this fake locker room for like literally every promo on WCW. So it's just like I don't know. I know they like to stick to like a uniformity of like a clean format, but personally I like the fact when they started going into different parts of the arena and
yeah, of course.
It
just looks more organic that way.
Yeah,
This you can tell that
or-
this isn't a real locker room.
Yeah, or when like WWF like even got the guys right before they were going on, or you like walk with them through the entranceway.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was cool, but I mean
Yeah.
obviously this is way before that. And I mean, Mr. Wall Street, like he looks like a fake Ted DiBiase right now.
Yeah.
Like he even has the dollar sign on him. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
If this was me, I would have been like, look, I was the IRS character in WWF. Obviously, it wasn't working
Yeah.
because I'm not there anymore, so maybe I should change my gimmick up. Psych, I'm still IRS guy.
But I feel like they went with that because people knew him as that.
Yeah,
so
sure.
They
it's-
definitely
you go, oh, this guy is that guy, but he's
Yeah.
over here now.
right, exactly. That's
so
exactly
it kind
what
of
they
has
did.
that appeal.
Right.
What's funny is WWF is inducting the NWO into the Hall of Fame this year, and he was in the Hall of Fame, and I want him to get a Hall of Fame ring.
Oh,
BK
God.
Wall Street
It
in
is
NWO.
about money.
Well, at this point, he's not BK Wall
Not
Street.
yet.
We'll get into that
Yeah.
later.
And
But right now,
here, where
he's
the
cutting this
greatest
promo.
wrestlers in the world are Hulk Hogan, Randy
So basically,
Savage,
he's gonna wrestle
Sting,
next week, right?
Vader.
Yeah.
Now you've added to the list Mr. Wall Street. Oh, and I'm
He
sure
even does
that
the
the
DBS
IRS
laugh.
is going to be
Yeah, he's
watching
got
me real
sweet money
close.
patch on him.
But that's fine, because as you go down the road in the WCW, people are going to know for
You know
sure
how you
that
know when
Michael Wall
somebody's
Street
not good
is a
at
real
giving a
pro.
promo? They don't look at the camera.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that he's like looking off. I don't know at who this entire time, and he doesn't cut a good promo, so it's whatever. But anyway, so enough of this bullshit. Let's get to the last match, which is
Big Bubba.
Big Bubba. It's classic right here, better known as Boss Man in another life. But here he's Big Bubba Rogers from Cobb County, Georgia.
Still from
Parole officer?
Yeah,
By the way, this guy wrestles in a full suit.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Big Bubba Rogers. We got him here.
He's taking on Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan. this is, of course, their main event of the night. Why wouldn't it be? So
Which
yeah,
is weird because you would think that Hogan would face off against Flair because Flair is like the biggest heel, and then Hulk Hogan's probably their biggest face. Even though I still think Sting is the best face.
I also think I mean, that makes sense too. I think it was a waste too to have Flair face off Sting when it's just gonna get interrupted by Norton or Arn Anderson
Yeah.
and Norton.
I mean, they're trying to set up more storylines, but they're trying to shove everything in as
Yeah.
much time as they could.
Only because watching this match again, we can't show it all, but watching this match, Bubba Rogers is terrible. And Hulk Hogan, of course, hits his classic moves. You know, the big boot,
Yeah.
the leg drop.
Classic, good match for what it is. Main event with these two stars from another company that they're trying to put
Yeah.
over. And because you know them from someplace else, and you got the Hulkster as the champ.
Yeah, as you'll see though, Bubba Rogers is anything but great. So we start off the match and Big Bubba does this weird ass fucking move where he's starting to jack off Hulk Hogan's head.
I don't know why he always did that move, but like he always did that move in every match.
Well, it's like he's trying to crank him. But
I know,
but it's
just
like-
this weird, like excited.
But like
crank thing.
he like you'll see too, like he oversells so much, and
Yeah.
like it's just like at some point you're like, dude, come on, what are you doing?
I know you're in the main fucking event, and this is the shit you're doing.
Also, I mean, how old do you think Hogan is here? Do you think he was born like that with no hair on top, or do you think?
All right, we know that's not true, but anyways, let's
he
move
ever had
on
hair?
here.
Is that Morgan Freeman.
All right.
Morgan
I think
Freeman
the
ever
best.
young?
I think the best part about Bossman too is like I don't know if we'll see it, but like his dress shirt, he
You mean
always
Big
did
Bubba?
that. Oh yeah, Big,
Yeah.
Big Bubba.
It's so hard though.
No,
because
I know
it's
you don't
the
know.
same.
Well, that you don't know
And
him
that's-
as fucking Big
And
Bubba.
at the time, you
So-
probably called him the same
I
thing,
know.
Boss Man.
I know. So
Just-
Big
fucking
Bubba.
Boss Man, dude.
The best part about Big Bubba with his dress shirt is he only buttoned up the last button on the bottom of the dress shirt so that his chest
Miami
would
Vice
hang out.
style.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways,
With
We'll see
suspenders.
it.
Yeah. All right. So
Didn't he have suspenders and a belt?
he goes into this.
Yeah,
he
see,
keeps
there it
working
is.
this
Can't
jack off
trust his
move,
pants.
which is really weird because he keeps doing it with his mouth open, which makes it even more weird. Like I don't know about you, but if you were ever gonna jack a guy off, you probably don't want to do it with your mouth open. Just saying.
Or maybe he did.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, he goes on and on with his mouth open. He looks at Hogan. He's like, "Yeah, you like that?"
Yeah, and then he's got he's got the button.
Yeah.
It's just weird to me, man.
And then here comes another great, as you mentioned, oversell from Bubba. Hogan
Jimmy
big
Hart's there
boots
with
him,
Hogan.
and then he just stops. He stops and stands still, like
Like he's in the Matrix.
exactly. And he's gonna go to the Matrix here in a second. But Hogan looks around like, all right, I guess this is what we're doing. Hold on. Before we cut to that, let's look at the signs in the bottom right hand corner. We get a Hogan sucks and Hogan is a wimp. Yeah. From the same guy who actually was holding a Pillman Rocks earlier.
Yeah, it's the
okay.
other side
Yeah,
of
it's
the
the other
Pillman
side of
Rocks.
the Yeah.
Pillman rocks. Hogan,
Hogan
sucks.
sucks.
So
Can't
that's
go
why
wrong
they're
with
not
that.
popping, as I bet there's a bunch of crowds, like homegrown WCW guys, like that actually are fans of WCW
Yeah.
and didn't want Hogan there. Maybe there's some of that at the time.
Yeah. Anyway, so he stops
Hogan,
and he's gonna enter the
fuck?
Yeah.
Jimmy Hart, the mouth of the South.
Yeah. This is where how I imagined Big Bubba in the Matrix.
All right.
Yeah. It's okay. Pushes him over.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So we'll cut to here. This is Hogan throws him into the corner and hits him with a big boot.
What was that?
And this is Big Bubba Rogers overselling the fuck out of all his moves. Hogan's just looking at him like, dude.
What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he's doing. He's looking at him like, the fuck are you doing?
Every time with his mouth open.
I don't get it, man.
Oh.
I don't get it. What's up
Oh.
with these camera cuts either, man?
I don't. Yeah. Why are they zoomed in on his face, like right on him,
I
his
don't-
expression, like him?
I
overselling.
don't know.
Maybe they just thought. it was such great
Anyways,
shit.
so we're gonna cut to the end of the match because I mean, literally, in Hogan's match with Big Bubba, it's really basic ass shit. You know, overall, it's nothing crazy that you wouldn't see Hogan do in a regular match or any other match. Like I said, you get elbow drops, leg drops, big boots.
Right.
So we're cut to the end of the match here where Hogan hits him with a leg drop. He's gonna go for the count.
Gets the W.
Gets the W. Hogan, the crowd goes crazy. They're losing their shit. As the crowd goes crazy, Here comes the fucking Dungeon of Doom.
I forgot the goons.
Yeah, you got the Dungeon of Doom here, which this is, you know, they're running out like YMCA. This guy's running out with his hand up. I don't know if he's trying to grab high fives from somebody, but
Zodiac.
It's Zodiac,
Zodiac,
aka
yeah.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
yeah.
From
So
WWF.
they come running out, and this is basically setting up Fall Brawl. As we know, Dungeon of Doom's going to take on the Hulkamaniacs. So they're setting this up now for next week, correct?
Right.
Yeah, because you know
Is
they're
that
gonna in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
From WWF.
yeah,
I think it's 2 weeks till fall, bro. At
yeah.
this point.
But anyways,
Yeah, there's one more.
yeah, that's what they're setting up. They're setting this up for Fall Brawl. So they come running out. They're gonna come out
Out of the Great Train store.
yeah. So we'll cut to Dungeon of
Exciting
Doom
picture.
is here. They're fighting. Luger comes out too because Luger hasn't said shit all night. We saw
He's
him
done writing
earlier.
poetry.
Yeah, he's done writing poetry. He's gonna finally get on the mic here in a second. But this is also setting up Luger's entrance into WCW. And he's gonna cut a great promo.
So my question here is like, why did they introduce Luger when they did? Why not just wait for this? Why not? You know how much more bigger of a pop it would
Yeah,
have been?
There
if
was
it
no
would've
point
just-
in him walking out.
No.
He
There
didn't
was,
say
no, he
anything.
didn't do anything. He
It's
just
called
walked
WCW
out.
being WCW.
He
Yeah.
just walks out and he's like,
There
Yeah.
was more
you
pop
know,
if
like,
he
there's
came out
nothing
to
going
save Hogan.
yeah, like
I
Dude,
agree.
It's just the way they booked this whole show. They're in a fucking mall, for Christ's sakes.
I know. I
Some
agree. I don't know
possibility.
why they brought Luger out earlier when they
Yeah.
could have just done what they already were planning to do
Yeah.
and probably get just as big as a pop because people would have been shocked and they would have built up more effective. Wait, why is Luger coming out to help Hogan?
right.
Because it still leads up to the promo they're going to cut anyways. So this whole time, Luger and Hulk are just fucking wrecking house, right? They don't notice each other, and then out of nowhere, they bump shoulders, and Hulk and Luger lock eyes.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, basically, right? So they lock eyes, you know. The rest of Hulkamaniacs come in. You get Sting, you get Savage. You know, they come in. Now, something that we should also know at this time, too, the Hulkamaniacs are missing a fourth member right now.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth member was actually Vader.
What happened to
What happened to
Get into
Vader?
that later.
Yeah, we could get into that later, but they're missing a fourth member right now. We'll get into that later. So it's just part of the Hulkamaniacs right now. They're confronting Luger.
Trying to figure out why he's here.
Yeah, they're going
What's
to
going
cut
on?
this great promo. So let's check out this promo.
What are you doing here, Luger?
Great way.
You got no business in my backyard, Luger. Well, let me tell you why I'm here. I'll make it clear right up front. I'm here for one reason and one reason only. People say that you're the #1 wrestler in the world today.
Which, believe it or not, he is. Whether he's in the WWF or WCW, Hulk
I mean,
Hogan
yeah,
was...
I mean, there's nobody else. There might be some people that are close, but there's nobody else right now that I could think of.
Greatest.
That-
icon.
Yeah. No one's pulling a pop. Hulk Hogan's pulling a
Oh, for sure.
You wear that WCW belt.
What?
Yeah, so Luger's a little stage fright right now.
WCW.
Yeah, calls it the WCW belt.
WCW.
Around your waist. And you know what? Hold on just 1 second
Here comes the best line.
and let me finish. Then you'll have your piece. Just let me finish. I've been down the same road as you.
Luger's gonna drop the
I've
best
been where
line
you've been.
of the night here,
I've
ready?
beaten the same people you've beaten. I am sick and tired of playing around with kids.
Pause.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Playing with all these kids.
I understand what he was trying to go here for, but
Yeah, oh.
maybe a better choice of words. I don't know. He could have said,
Choice of words.
he could have just said, you know, I'm sick of, you know,
All this juvenile bullshit.
I mean, he could have used a better word to describe the lack of talent that he felt was in,
Childish.
you know.
Juvenile.
Yeah, I don't know.
Amateur.
Yeah, I'm just gonna play that back again.
I am sick and tired of playing around with kids.
Look at Mean Gene's face.
He's like, oh.
Yeah, watch his right after he
Should've said
delivers
that.
this line.
Ooh.
Yeah. Mean Gene's like, what the fuck did he just say? Did he just say he's sick of playing with kids? Yeah, he gives the look, and he gives the look of wow, okay.
Tell me, he just didn't say that.
Yeah. And then, we get the classic.
It's goddamn kids.
Exactly.
Great traffic.
Anyways, so they cut to
Fucking Cuban link chain though.
yeah. So finally, Luger tells Hogan he's sick of playing with kids, and Hogan hears him out, and he tells him that if he wants the title, he'll give it to him.
Stick that stinky palm of yours out, brother. Shake my hand, and I'll put the WCW title on the line next Monday on Monday Nitro right in Miami.
So yeah. So apparently, to get a title shot against Hogan, all you have to do is stick out your stinky ass palm, which is great. So that's what sets up next week. What everyone wants to see anyways is Luger versus Hogan at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
What's
That's
funny
what
though,
it's touted as in WWF is the next coming of Hulk Hogan.
Right.
yeah. What's great here too is after Hulk Hogan tells him, Luger kind of gives this look like, that's not what I wanted. And it's like, well, what the fuck did you want?
Yeah.
Monday on Monday Nitro right in Miami.
He just got this blank look on his face. I don't
And
know.
Hogan's fucking spitting in his face and screaming.
Yeah. So Luger sticks out his stinky ass palm, and we got a match next week for the title.
Nice.
Of course, as this is going on in traditional Nitro fashion, Nitro had this really bad, notorious cut to break at the most anticipated moments of the night. So we cut the break here, and we come back, and as we come back, we get a Fall Brawl promo that's also set out to, that's sponsored by, to help MDA kids.
Yep.
But let's check out this promo.
Muscular dystrophy rages on as WCW presents Fall Brawl War Games. Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Randy Savage, Sting, and Vader.
So this is what we're getting to. This is the guy that was missing earlier. Great. So we're missing Vader. Vader is not here. He didn't come out. We didn't see him earlier.
He's AWOL.
Yeah.
He's AWOL.
Yeah. all these great military puns for Fall
For
Brawl.
War Games.
So,
yeah.
so basically, what happened is that Vader was part of the Hulkamaniacs, but then apparently he got into an altercation with somebody backstage, and basically he got fired.
In real life.
In real
he
life.
got a fight backstage with the producer or something.
Yeah.
So
Which-
beat the fuck out of him, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which actually works out fine because this will set up later on.
Yeah, I mean, Luger is obviously a bigger pop than Vader.
Yeah. This will
I think
set up
he got
later for
fired because
Luger
he
to
didn't
join.
apologize, is what it was.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyways, this sets up Luger later to join the Hulkamaniacs at Fall Brawl to square off against the Dungeon of Doom.
Join forces to fight against muscular dystrophy.
But this week they're joining forces to fight MDA.
Help MDA fight the battle against muscular dystrophy and help out my pals.
Look at the kid in the back. He's like,
Who the
holy
fuck
shit.
is this guy?
Yeah,
Why
I
is
know.
there so much cocaine around?
Yeah. Macho Man's great.
Could you
Delivering
imagine?
lines.
Could you imagine if Lex
It's one of
Luger?
my favorites, man.
Could you imagine if Lex Luger busted a door and put one of those kids in the torture rack?
Yeah.
Donate money.
They would have fucking shattered their bones.
I'd rather see the Hulkamaniacs square off against MDA kids and at Fall Brawl.
Alright, dude.
WCW presents Fall Brawl War Games.
Boom! The
Yeah.
fucking tank.
Yeah, War Games.
Sunday, September 17th, live on pay-per-view.
Why did the tank just shoot a grenade that didn't explode?
I don't know.
To be honest, though, like,
Oh, Pepe!
Yeah, Pepe's
Hey!
to be honest, though, if you think about it, like, if Vader, even if he wouldn't have gotten fired, do you think they would have came up with some type of storyline like, yeah, we're putting Luger in, and you're
Probably.
like something's happening?
Probably, or
Yeah.
they made it the fifth man and then gave the Dungeon of Doom a fifth man or something, because they probably wanted
I don't
Luger
know.
in that match.
Yeah.
Yeah, it only made
I mean,
sense.
the
at
stars
time.
just aligned. They would have booted Vader out for sure, though.
Yeah,
If you think about it.
It only makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so this is the closeout we get.
Pepe.
We get we get Michaels, we get Bischoff, and we get Bobby the Brain, and most important we get Pepe.
Look at him looking at Pepe and you're like, what the fuck is that at this table, Mongo?
That's the best thing about Nick Michaels. It's not even him. It's fucking Pepe. Every week she's in a different costume. This week she's in a JTL costume. You know.
Yeah. Juice and Thunder.
Yeah. So as we get
Satan.
Bischoff, we're out of time. We're closing
We're
out
out of
here.
here.
Yeah.
WCW Monday Nitro on TNT, and we'll see you next week.
I got the fucking show.
Yeah. So this is how we close out. You know, they set up next week for Luger to square off against Hulk Hogan. You know, I think the closing was definitely better than the opening. You know, they've set up an interesting card next week.
For sure.
You know, I think we get Macho Man versus Norton next week, which is a good match. We get Hulk Hogan versus Luger. It just sucks they had to set up the first Nitro with
I know.
a stellar second Nitro.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't do the ratings for the other two matches, but I would definitely say that.
One overall rating, I mean, for the whole show.
No, I know, but I would
Yeah.
say you know the Flair and Sting match was probably the best match of the night, and
for
you
sure.
know Hogan and Bubba as like with it being Hulk Hogan, I mean it wasn't that great.
Yeah.
It seemed short and like I think they just put Bubba against Hulk Hogan because they were probably the two tallest guys they had at the moment. Like
Probably.
I mean,
And they had two names that you recognize from the other promotion.
yeah, I mean, Big Bubba's pretty big. Obviously he's named Big
It
Bubba.
was like 6'8" or something though, I think.
Yeah.
So,
No, he's a big dude.
Hogan's 6'6", so.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, overall, like I'd probably give it a 2. Out
The
of
whole show or just the match?
just the whole show itself. I think it's a 2 out of 5. Like it's the first one. I mean, there's definitely room for improvement. I mean,
Yeah.
it had its highlights, but as a show wise, like, there's just a lot of things that I'm like, I don't know if I would have did that. Like,
Yeah.
the whole Luger thing, I would have just had him come out the end to save Hulk Hogan. I think that would have been the bigger pop. I don't know whose idea it was just to have him come out at the beginning of like the best match of the night. Because like that's the problem with that match. Like it was a good match, but there were so many distractions that like took you away from what you were watching. Like you had 3 people. No, I'm sorry. You had 4 people interrupt that match. You had Luger in the beginning. You had Arn Anderson.
Yeah.
Then you had Norton, and then you had Macho Man at the end. Like it was just there was so much going on that it was just like.
Just try to fit everybody in and get their screen time.
I mean, I know, but I wish they would have did the Scott Norton and they should have did the Scott Norton Macho Man thing after the JTL and Bryan match, in my opinion.
To be honest, though, too, I think
should have done it at the end.
I think we would have been better without Wall Street promo and a Sabu promo and just had those big promos,
Yeah.
I wonder what I would have thought of this as a child. Like,
yeah, this was a little early for me, and I didn't start watching Nitro until it became a lot popular.
I was up there. I mean, I watched it a little bit. I mostly watched their Saturday night because there was no other wrestling on.
Yeah.
Saturday night shows.
Yeah, I feel like when we were this young, because this is '95, so we were like 4.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, so I feel like we probably watched. I remember watching WWF and like Bret Hart and Undertaker at this time. So again, I don't think we either A, didn't know about it, or B, we were just like, oh, we're too little to know that there's another show. So
Probably.
But yeah, I don't know what I would have thought watching this. To be honest, I mean, I probably thought it would have been cool because it's a new wrestling fed. But like other than that, like the thing was too is like they didn't have. They're just trying to get the show out because it's a new show and like they're not going against anybody this week. But
Right.
like next week is the first time that Raw and Nitro go head to head, and it'll be pretty interesting to see how they stack up against each other. But overall, like I said, the show I give it like a 2 or 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah. What about you, Nick?
I'd say 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I would say 2.5 out of 5 as well. There was the Flair match was the best spot of the night. The rest was just super unorganized, poorly executed. It's a first show, so I guess this shit's kind of expected, and we're just, in hindsight, being overcritical. But, 2 out of 5. Next week, like you said, we've got Nitro episode 2. Nitro going head-to-head against Raw for the first time. We know some of the matches coming from Nitro. We got a stellar card of Raw. And it'll be interesting to see who wins next week. But thanks for tuning in today. You can check us out on Twitch and on YouTube at Monday Night Showdown. And look,
Give us a follow and a subscribe,
Yep.
you know, if you can. We appreciate it. You know, obviously this is the first show, but, you know, we plan on doing these every Sunday around, 1 o'clock or so. So, yeah, just tune in and
we'll see you
It's
next week.
1 o'clock Pacific time. Remember,
Yeah.
follow,
Yeah,
like,
LA.
subscribe. How about your pals?
yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.